All right, we're down at the shop today. Did a big mowing project here recently with the old John Deere, and just going to give it a little TLC. This is a pretty old unit. I bought it used, and kind of been fixing things as I go. Main thing I want to get going on today is I already put on the new thumb. There's quite a bit of slop here. Today's mission is just to get this off, see what's actually wore, see if it's bushing pins, see if I'm going to have to line bore this, whatever it's going to take to get this fixed, and we're going to do a little bit of surgery. Anyway, stay tuned. I want to see how much I can get done today. Not sure how much is going to end up in this video. My goal is to get these two pins out, check them, fix them, and if we have time, we're going to fix this bucket. We're not going to fix it with like any kind of AR hardened steel. We're just going to basically just put some plating over top of this. We'll cut this bow out here if we have time. So anyway, stay tuned. That'll either be in this video or the next one. Alright, so we got the one off. Basically I took the plasma cutter, stuck it in, and kind of rocked it. This is about almost an inch between the nut and this. And you lose a little bit of thermal conductivity in the bolt, so it cuts a little slower as you cut through it. But if you'll basically just take your plasma tip and kind of go in and then rock it back, you'll be able to cut it real easy. It's kind of hard because you're not cutting on a flat surface, you're cutting on a sided bolt like that. But if you'll rock it, it'll slice right off and you won't do any damage. May have a little nub there that I need to shave off, but I'll be able to beat that pin up. And I have a feeling this one's probably going to be the same. I'll have to recurl the bucket so I can get to this a little easier. But we got one out. Alright, so here's how the John Deere works. So we got our pin here. There is some wear, and I will need to order a new one. And the main reason I'm not going to be able to just fill it is because these are through-hole grease fittings, and I'm going to have to basically hit each spot. I was kind of hoping maybe just these end links were wore, which they are, but this is wore pretty bad as well. And you can see there it's actually got multiple grease fittings. So getting welding on this and getting this cleaned back up to where that grease fitting works is kind of hard to do, because basically I've got a rotary that's going to rotate this, and if I welded it, it would be really hard to miss that or not get into that. So I'll just need to order a new one. And basically this pin's pretty wore. I don't think these are bushing. So you got this outside piece. I'll have to look on the John Deere site, but I think I'm gonna have to order a whole. This probably has the most play in it. This is wore down both on the pin side and this side. Each one of these, as you can see, there's quite a bit of play in this direction and very little play in this direction, which basically means those bushings are a little bit ovaled, but it does look like there's a seal in the bushing in that one. And then cylinder side, same story, kind of in the axis of travel here, you've got some ovaling. So if you've got a little mini excavator and you're looking to tighten this up, especially if you have a John Deere, because you're pretty much going to have to order a new pin from them, or have one made. It's kind of hard. I don't know if they EDM drill these or what, but it's not anything that I have the equipment to remake one of these. I could make one if I was willing to drill through that bushing and actually put a grease fitting in this, but I'm probably not going to do that. But you can kind of see there, it's kind of ovaled out in the direction of travel. Pretty tight in this direction, lots of play in this direction. All right, so we got that back together. Solution I came up with to make it a little bit easier to come off. Whatever was in it, I've seen this before. This is pretty standard, like a double nut. But what I went with is a lock nut and a grade 8 bolt of the right size. Anyway, we're going to move on to doing a little bucket repair here. As you can see, this is kind of concaved in a little bit. Typically, if this is like a hardened steel, like AR 500 or 400 or whatever, the surface of that will be very, very hard. Once you wear through the surface, it wears like any other metal. So basically all I want to do is just try to get this bowed section out, and then get some kind of wear plate on the bottom of this, or I may even hard face this with a stick welder. But let's get working on that and see if we can get that finished up today. Alright, this ain't been too bad. A little smoky in the shop. I'm gonna have to turn on the vent. So we got the bad part cut out. Took the porta power. Got enough of that cut out where it's real easy to bend this back almost straight. It's pretty close. So I'm gonna weld in a replacement piece here, and then we'll put probably at least 2 wear strips. I think that's all the material that I have, but we'll put cross wear strips across it to keep it from rubbing against that directly, and that should hold straight because it's going to be a little bit thicker material. We'll go over here where it's all so that plasma cutter does really well. As you can see, that's a pretty good cut. So if you can get a nice squared up piece to run against the edge of the plasma cutter, cuts this stuff like butter, and it makes it nice and straight. But let me do this last cut and we'll get this over to the excavator and start welding it in. It's going to take a while. I've got quite a bit of fill in to do, and then I've got to put wear strip on. This is what I'm probably going to use for my wear material. This is a hardened steel, and this should last a really long time. And I think I've got a big enough piece of this to maybe do two, one at the back, one at the front, just to keep the direct pressure of that dirt and to make a relatively smooth bottom if I'm digging a ditch. All right, so about out of time today, but at least we did get this. I have not put the wear strips on yet. I may do that later. Need get a little done tomorrow during my day off. So I'm gonna stop here so I can get a little bit of work done, make sure this is what I want, but I'm sure it is. It's good and straight now. It's a new piece of metal. That's bent back out, so basically that's almost flush other than the weld sticking up, and the weld will keep the dirt off of that just for a little while until I can get a wear plate on it. But just to go over kind of how I did this, basically you got a Lincoln MIG welder and plasma cutter and a piece of steel. So we just cut this out and welded it in. Now I've got a flat bottom bucket. The issue before is I was losing a lot of digging capacity, and the bottom of my trenches actually had a mound in the middle because the bottom of this bucket wasn't square and flat. So this should help a lot. I'm gonna go out here in a little bit and do a couple little test digs after this bucket cools off. But hopefully this helps some folks out. And on that pin thing, I did go on the John Deere site. I can get most of this. The only thing I couldn't get is this H-link. So I'm not real sure. It looks like they sell the H-link as an assembly. I'm going to call when they're open on Tuesday and see if I can actually buy just the bushings. If I can, I'll pull that H-link off and we'll throw it in the mill and rebore. I'll probably just make a sleeve to put in there. I can get these. These look fairly expensive and they're on back order. So what I may end up doing is I may end up just boring this and sleeving it. It doesn't look like too big of a thing to take care of, but you can see the amount of slop there. So that hole's ovaled out. Again, main thing I want to do is just inspect it, make sure there was no cracks. Nothing was about to give out on me, so I've got time to get that fixed. The bucket, it was almost wore through. You can see that's the piece there, and it's not supposed to do that. So you can kind of see how warped the bend in that bucket was. And it was just in that one little area, I'm assuming, because banging on rocks kind of gets you a shot there how flat it is now. The sides of this CP bucket are indestructible. I don't know what this is, but there's several layers of metal on the corner. So on this particular bucket, usually what you'll see is the corner will wear off first. But how this one's made, if it's wore, there's plenty of material there, substantially more than what the bottom of the bucket can handle. So we've got this fixed. This will probably last at least as long as I've got the excavator. Anyway, thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.